The Sega Genesis was at its sort of end years in popularity. It was 1994, and the new, more advanced systems were either coming out or being teased. And for Sega's case, they had the Saturn on the horizon in Japan and the extremely terrible 32X. But we're not here to bash on shitty add-ons, we're here to talk about one of the last big games on the Genesis, and that's Sonic 3. You know, I've played Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 much more than Sonic 3, so this review might be a little different from the last ones. Nevertheless, let's begin! Once again, we should get a little background. Sonic 2 was a huge success for Sega, making it one of the highest selling games on the system with 6 million copies sold. So how does Sega follow that up? With Sonic 3, that's what.
Of course!
So during development, Yuji Naka was once again the programmer. Sonic team had many ideas for the game. This game was originally supposed to be an isometric 3D platformer similar to Sonic 3D Blast, but thank God they scrapped that idea because of changing the formula too early would cause mass chaos. Whoa, in the fanbase, I mean. The game was released on February 2nd, 1994, a day known as Hedgehog Day. Okay, that's not as cheesy. Anyway, how's the game itself? Once again, we should look at the plot, which is a little more complicated than last time. The game begins immediately after the events of Sonic 2. The Death Egg has fallen, and it landed on this mysterious island known as Angel Island. Robotnik decides to rebuild the Death Egg, and it's up to Sonic and Tails to stop him. Sonic wastes no time and becomes Super Sonic in the beginning of the game, when suddenly... Yep, this is the introduction to Knuckles the Echidna, which I swear to God I thought it was enchilada when I was little. Anyway, Knuckles was tricked by Robotnik, believing that Sonic and Tails would take the Master Emeralds. Basically, much more powerful and larger Chaos Emeralds that Knuckles protects. So Knuckles takes away the Chaos Emeralds, and now it's up to you to get back the Chaos Emeralds and stop Robotnik. When you start up the game, you actually have the option to open a new game file, making Sonic 3 one of the first games in the series to have a save feature. As for the gameplay, it pretty much remains the same. You're still running through slopes in great ease, and you're having fun while doing it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You still have the spin dash, you still have rings to collect, and you still have monitors to break. The only new items in the game are the elemental shields. The fire one, which protects you from fire, the water one, which lets you breathe underwater, and the electric one, which protects you from electricity, I think? I mean, I've never really seen an electric attack in this game. And if you jump using any of these shields, you'll get the fire dash with the fire one, the bubble bounce with the water one, and besides collecting rings, you can also have a double jump with the electric shield. The only new ability that Sonic has is the Insta Shield. This is basically a shield that only lasts about a split second. I don't really use this that often, with the exception of some of the bosses. Now Tails plays a little different. He now has the ability to fly, invisible walls aside, and he can also swim, which could be very useful. He's considered to be the easy mode of this game. Now as for the zones, there's only 6 zones. Wait, only 6? Each zone is once again only 2 acts long, but the levels are larger than ever. Something new to the game is Act 1 mini-bosses. And yes, I know, they're more pathetically easy than the Doctor himself, but I'm still happy they added them to add more content to the game. After you beat the boss, the level just starts off where the last level ended, making the zones huge compared to the last games. So let's get into the zones. Angel Island Zone. It's basically another Green Hill zone, which means it's another great start to the game. The only difference from this and Green Hill is the jungle setting. Oh yeah, there's also fire everywhere. Beavis would definitely love this level.
Cool. Fire! 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 Fire!
Hydro City Zone. This is the main water levels in the game, except you blaze through these parts that you don't even notice that it is a water section, unless you take your time looking for a way out. Marble Garden Zone. At first I thought this would be like Marble Zone from Sonic 1, but nope, it's different. You have changing terrain, this blue spinny thingy that moves fast, and hooks to grab. Carnival Night Zone. This is a mix of Casino Night Zone and Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2. You have these barrels that move very slow. You just go up and down. Up and... Oh yeah, the review. Oh yeah, and you also have this. Whee! Ice Cap Zone. This is basically the snow levels of the game, except with no ice physics. But maybe that was for the best. I mean, could you just imagine Sonic sliding everywhere? Oh wait. Also, the water doesn't freeze you, it's just a bottomless pit. Launch Base Zone. It's the final zone of the game, and it has destructible buildings, the death egg in the background, and hooks to grab, which can make you move very...
Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast!
Who? Let's move on. I did mention the boss battles earlier, and once again, they're pathetically easy. Seriously, you figured by the third game, the Doctor would have better machines for bosses. What's the IQ of this idiot anyway? Bullshit! I should mention the bonus stages. You get into these by having over 50 rings and jumping into a ring over the checkpoint. You bounce on the walls to get rings, an extra life, or even a shield. The special stages are once again in this sort of pseudo 3D style. You get into these by jumping into these hidden rings scattered throughout each level. The Blue Spear special stages are much better than Sonic 2's half-pipe segments. You basically collect blue spears to complete each stage. Each blue spear you collect turns to a red one, and if you hit a red one, you fail. If you outline a bunch of blue spears, then they turn to rings. If you collect all the rings in each stage, then you get a perfect, where you get a crap ton of points. And of course, if you beat the stage, then you get a Chaos Emerald. Get all 7, and then you are granted to turn into Super Sonic, which once again, he's pretty much as broken as last time. You run faster and jump higher, and you're invincible to almost everything. Now as for the graphics, I think this is one of the best looking games on the Sega Genesis. There are so many colors and layers, I think they can make your eyes bleed. And the music is absolutely wonderful. There are so many great tracks to this game, and each stage has their own music, so that's awesome! But that's nothing to expect when you're listening to a soundtrack that was composed by Michael Jackson himself, supposedly. Anyway, Sonic 3 is an awesome game. It pretty much does what any great sequel does. Keeps all the great things the last game had, while improving and adding new things to the game. You know what's weird? Knuckles looks fully playable, so why can't I play as him? Wait a minute, Knuckles is fully playable in multiplayer mode. Why can't we play as Knuckles in single player? Why is this game shorter than Sonic 2? And why does the sound test show levels that aren't even in the game? Why? Why? All of this and more will be answered in the Sonic & Knuckles review! We will see you then!